You're listening to Sports Radio Detroit.
The views and opinions expressed by our show hosts do not necessarily reflect that of Sports Radio Detroit or its sponsors.
Of athletic competition. This is
SRD.
Wide World of Sports.
All right. Had no idea what open that was, but you can tell Roger Castillo is not here running the board, which is okay. It's a running gag.
Don't judge me.
We're not judging you. It is what it is. Welcome to another Saturday edition of the SRD Roadshow, live
Hi.
on Facebook Live. Hello.
¿Qué
And
pasó?
on Cave Radio Broadcasting, if you're listening on demand, we appreciate it at sportsradiodetroit.com. You can listen to all of our great shows, not just the SRD Roadshow, but Out of Bounds, Grave Discussions, Over Under Fair has a good show out. All you have to do to find those shows, just go to iTunes, Spotify, what have you, anywhere podcasts can be listened to. And when you listen to it, review it, like it, share it with a friend. Share the love. But as we said, Roger's not here, but we still have the good old gang. We have Eric running the board.
What's up?
We have Chris joining us, not from Skype.
Yeah.
He got away from East Lansing for a weekend, which is always nice.
Shocker.
Wait, can we just address Chris being on Skype? And I'm sorry, but me and Mike were getting
for last
so
week?
into it. Yeah, we got so into it that I forgot Chris was on.
Yeah.
on the
Oh yeah,
legitimately
that was
forgot.
so funny.
Well,
for like
it's
20
okay
minutes that Chris was on.
because we can't forget who's on Skype. Jamie, hello.
Hi.
Hey,
How you doing?
Hi.
I'm good. I'm tired, but I'm good.
Sorry about
You're
that.
tired. What did
No,
you
it
do
was
last
funny.
night that you were
I
tired?
actually finally went and saw Ant-Man and the Wasp. So
Oh,
so
how
did
was
I,
it?
So did I.
it was really good. The mid-credit scene was awesome and jaw-dropping, but seriously, don't even waste your time to stay for the last scene.
Yeah, that's usually how it's been as of lately with a lot of those movies. I think it started with the Spider-Man one where they did the whole Captain America thing as the very last one.
Okay.
And it's been a very complete waste.
Interesting. Okay.
I'll wait for Ant-Man.
Yeah, it literally adds nothing.
It adds
to
nothing.
anything.
Okay. Well, that's interesting. Well, it's good to hear your voice. You're going to hear her on the latest edition of Lions SRD, which will be dropping in a day or two.
Hey.
Training camp has started, so that means Lions is back up and running, and sadly you have to hear this voice for Lions, so I apologize in advance for that.
It'll be all right.
I forgot how much sleep I did not get during like training camp because every day I'm just training camp news on my Google and just reading every team's thing because I mean I play a lot of fantasy football, dynasty and stuff like that, so I'm trying to get the inside scoop on everything. I'm getting like 4 hours a day. I'm like, shit.
So I take it this is our cue for the ramble then, correct?
Yeah, but we don't, of
But
course.
you ruined
It's
it by
time.
acknowledging it, right?
No, it's not because we don't have Roger. We tried to look for the drop before the show started, so
Per usual, but I mean...
so that means Eric, I was going to say Eric do the drop.
All right, we're good.
Oh, there we go. So yes, it is time for the ramble, and well, do you want? I will say this because the training camp parking for the Lions is literally right next to where I work on a daily basis, and it was a lot fuller this year than it was last year.
Really?
And I'm not even saying it because it was like day one. Last year with Jim Caldwell at the helm, barely anyone went to training camp.
I
Like
think
when it
there's
was
a lot more excitement this
like-
year because it's an unknown
Oh, totally.
entity. And
Oh, totally. People want to see what the defense looks like. What is that?
And Jim Caldwell, read from a script when he answered questions. So
Sweet
they,
cheese.
they just have to refer to previous articles to, rewrite.
Check
exactly
the report.
what they were
Today's like
getting
the first day of training camp. Check the report. What report?
It's like, so why isn't he playing? Check the report. No,
We
it's
don't-
literally day one. We,
we
don't
don't
know
have
why he's playing.
anything.
there are no reports yet.
It's like, oh, okay, well, if there's no report yet, non-football injury list, and then PUP, it's one of those two. Okay, well, thank you.
Exactly.
But yeah, no, it's exciting for the Lions, and Jamie, I totally think you're right. I think it's, everyone sees, brand new regime, everyone's excited. The Lions, even though people still project them to only win 6 games, the past 3 or 4 years, Lions have always been projected to win about 5 or 6 games, and they end up getting about like 9.
That's
So it's going to be interesting.
They always, if they are projected to do very well, and this seems to go with all Detroit teams, anytime they're projected to do very well, they fail epically. But when they're coming in as underdogs, they tend to overperform expectations. So
This is true. That it is very true.
I mean, I kind of totally disagree with that. But
You kind of totally disagree,
Kind of
or
the
you?
the Tigers were overwhelming favorites, and they didn't really fail epically. They made it to 2 World Series. I mean, the
Considering
Wings,
who
the
they
Wings,
had, like when
No,
you look
but-
back
but
at who
it's
we
not
had on our roster at that
failing.
time, we should have won, and we didn't. So
Okay, but so many teams do that. The Nationals arguably have a better starting pitching talent right now, and they're about to sell at the deadline. They said they're going to know by the end of the day today if they're buying or selling. And the Nats won over 100 games, so
They're the
it's
most
a
disappointing
common thing.
team. If you're the Nationals and you're considering selling at this point, that's a huge disappointment.
Considering Max Scherzer is arguably the best. Well, no, I think he is. Arguably the best pitcher in the NL. The only pitchers I can think of in all of baseball that are better than him are Chris Sale and Clayton Kershaw right now. That's it.
And the numbers on Chris Sale are
Phenomenal.
and he's 183 pitches less this year than last year. So,
Yeah.
but we'll just see. He has like a career since 2011. He's got like a career 8-point ERA in the months of September and October. So let's see if this
Yeah,
helps
but that's
going
'cause he-
forward.
It might be partly because he played for the White Sox.
But the
Damn.
only his first 2 years he was phenomenal. But then the past like 7, it's been like
Yeah.
garbage. So
Well,
see what happens.
I was gonna say we'll get into that with our cup of coffee segment. I couldn't say coffee for a second. I was gonna say cup of coffee. Like
Coffee.
like I'm
were
from
you in New
Boston.
York for the week and picked up an accent?
Went to
Funny
Boston.
you say that. New York is one of my markets, and I've been meeting stations all like the past 2 weeks, so it might be rubbing off. I'm not
It
gonna.
might be.
It-
We're gonna have a little coffee talk.
yeah, right.
Some of that-
Feeling verklempt.
It happens to my parents when they go to Canada because I have family in Canada
Yeah.
because my mother's Canadian, and when they come back, if they go for a weekend, they're saying "A" for like the next week.
So that's a real thing then, eh?
It's a real thing,
There-
eh?
Chris, did you clean your
I
room?
think-
No. Go ahead, Jamie.
I think that there's definitely certain people have that ability to pick up on accents a lot easier. I do it horribly. Like I had to apologize one time when I was helping somebody when I worked at Target because I picked up on her southern accent so quickly, and I was like, I promise I'm not making fun of you. I just can't control it.
I can't help it.
So, and then she's like, "Oh, bless your heart." Yes, I know. Thank you.
She's like, no, I love it. I haven't heard a voice like that in years. Like, okay.
Crikey. That's the one I'm waiting for.
I was like, crikey. Now we just went
I've done
Australian
that
with
one.
it. So
I'm just saying that would be one I would like to incorporate, or at least
That's
run
not
into.
real Australian. That's a specific
know.
form.
no, I know.
The Australian.
That's Steve Irwin, Australian.
That's a big gator.
Oh
Oh
God!
my God, no, I'm not going to do it.
Please don't.
I'm done. But yeah, no. So I think perhaps since you came up with the show sheet, what's the first topic of the ramble that you want to dive into head first?
Well, you know, that was so long ago, and you put me on the spot. We have so many choices.
Where can we begin?
You do good at you do good at efforting. It's great. I mean, we could go with.
I like the auto show moving to down.
We could talk about the auto show. Let's go with that. So
I think it's huge.
So,
I think it is
so
too.
explain what's happening exactly.
The international auto show that's usually in January.
Yep.
They're
It pulled awful weather with January.
they're moving to June, and still have the same place. They're just moving it to June, so that way they're still going to have it at Cobo, but this way they can have a lot more stuff outside.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like they're going to have obstacle. They have like courses. They got rides for different shows. I think it's going to be huge, like 100%.
Yeah, that's cool. My initial takeaway from that was that they were also doing it. They were also doing it to kind of reach the younger demographic, because to me, like changing something from January to June when you're somebody who has like a full-time position and full-time work, when you have that, it doesn't really make a difference whether it's in January or June. But when you're a student, you know, and you're at some university or you're wherever you are for your education,
it's a good point.
then you know January and June make a whole difference.
And they're not to cut you up, but they're piggybacking it with the Grand Prix. You know what I mean? So it's just going to
Which
be.
is under negotiations right now with the DNR.
Yeah, which may not actually be.
But it would be no. But you're right. It would be a good.
They're not going to let that pass through just because that's just going to be huge. You got the Grand Prix. All right, now you got the auto show.
Yeah. No. If they can buddy it up with the Grand Prix, I think it would be great. The thing I like about it is because a lot of people during like the charity preview and whatnot always complain about like avoiding snowbanks and road salt, getting on dresses and tuxedos and whatnot. So it's going to help with that.
Sure.
I mean, it does give you a lot more options. Like having outdoor things is going to be great. It's the only thing that it's just going to be Detroit's luck. Like the first year because it's going to start in 2020. Like it's going to rain. Like it is. Like Detroit's gonna be like, yeah, no, we can do this. Like it's gonna be outside. We have all these great things, and it's gonna rain the first 2 days.
Don't do that.
So the things that they said, dynamic vehicle debuts, ride and drives, autonomous driving, off-road challenges. That just opens up so many things, and that'll probably bring more companies to Detroit.
Well, and that's the thing. A lot of the higher end companies have kind of pulled out of the auto show. They're like, no, we're not interested.
Audi, BMW, Mercedes-Benz, and Jaguar aren't here 2018.
What's going on today?
So, Pap liked his point so much he did a mic drop, and it was like he's like, that's good.
And I get it. I wouldn't want to if I got these nicer cars. I want to bring them in the snow and no, I'm not coming. But outside,
sure. Jamie, what's up?
I think that too. Not only will it bring more companies, it's going to bring more people.
Yes.
Like, as somebody who doesn't live in the Detroit metro area, sometimes you just can't make it down there because the weather's awful, and you're not going to try to drive through a snowstorm or through horrible roads just to get down there to see cars. Whereas when it's in the middle of summer, you're not going to have that problem. You might actually see a lot more participation from around the state, people showing up, people coming into Detroit, bringing more money into Detroit for that.
Yeah, that's a very good point. I can kind of hear myself. That's interesting.
I'm lazy in the winter, so I don't want to do things.
I think everyone's lazy in the winter.
If I got to put on 8 layers and then walk through, I hate the way that snow sounds when you step on it. So
that crunch sound.
Oh,
that's like my favorite part.
Why? Why does the crunch
that's
sound
why
bother
we don't
you
get
so
along.
much?
Right, completely opposite.
Why does the crunch sound bother you? That's what I want to know.
It's just It's just like nails on a chalkboard. Just I will literally scuff my feet or hop from dry spot to dry spot my entire life.
We need to hang out with Pro during the
winter time
just to see how
with a video camera because I think we could make some money off that.
Is that how you slipped?
Watching his face crazy.
Is that really how you slipped? You were hopping from dry spot to dry spot. You're like,
no,
oh my god!
I was
and
trying
you
to
didn't
kick
realize
the
it was
snow off
black
my
ice,
tire.
and then you just bit it.
See, I was trying to kick the snow off my tire, like a foot of snow stuck between my tire and wheel well. And I cried for like 10 minutes in my car. I'm glad my windows were foggy so people didn't see me, but I cried hard.
No, I can totally imagine. But no, it's like that. But that's what you hope though with the auto show. Moving to warmer months, that Audi, BMW comes back and they actually participate because
they have cool cars. So it's like kind of like jipping us not having. We're not going to see any of these cars anyways, but nobody's going to.
And also it's a thing you have to take into consideration is that the LA Auto Show is kind of in the summer months too. So you got to hope that it doesn't interfere, with that because that could, drive down.
LA one typically?
I think the LA one's usually in.
Well, wait. What do they do? They do Detroit first, right? And that's in January. Moves to what? Chicago after that.
I think it goes to Chicago.
Do they have the river?
Oh, never mind. The LA
now?
Auto Show is now going to be in December and November. There you
That's
go.
fine. It's
starting 2020.
Yeah, look, you want to go to LA in the winter. You don't want to go to Detroit in the winter. And I mean, people travel for these car shows, so
they do
from out of state. So that's what I was more of thinking when I saw it. It's like, oh, so people don't have the excuse like, who wants to go to Detroit in the winter to miss it? Yeah.
Me.
It's
I'm
nice.
just kidding.
Well, when the Lions are in the Super Bowl, no, I'm kidding.
Oh,
no, I'm kidding. No,
NBA Finals.
Yeah, right.
That'd be great.
There you go.
And then it ends with the fireworks.
In 2050.
You know what I mean? So you got the Grand Prix, you got the auto show, and it's basically
and
probably
end
a
of month
Tigers
with-
game.
The fireworks. I mean, if you could all tie it in to make it like a big spectacle that it should be, I'm all for it. Like
that's fair.
I mean, I never minded the auto show in the winter, but it's a different animal when you can obviously take it outside of Cobo or even if
It'll
you
make it
still
a lot
have in
because I feel like the auto show is I can go this year, but I don't need to go next year.
Right.
You know what I mean? But it being outside, there's going to be
You're going to
want to
go every year.
that they're going to show you. So I'll go every year now.
And it'll probably be a lot more interactive, too.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. And then as Chris Papchik says, well, it also used to be Who Wants to Go to Detroit at night. So
I do.
I was going to say, a lot of people do now.
Well, yeah, now that downtown's getting its act together.
I've been
Parts of downtown is getting Greektown and Midtown and Woodward Avenue is very, very nice. You can still go about 2 blocks anywhere in any direction from there, and you can be like, hey, this is not right.
Right. It literally looks like 90
And plus,
Day.
Michigan Avenue is
downtown.
starting to shape up, too, finally. So it's not
which part
all
of
bad.
Michigan Avenue?
But like,
If you love music, come on down.
there you go.
Exactly.
I mean, there's a lot of, even around Woodward, there's 3 or 4 theaters alone.
Yeah, music venues. You got Magic Stick, the Majestic, the Fillmore, and the Fox.
Yeah.
Right there.
And then you
Plus-
have 9 after-hour spots.
And a bunch of
Where
theaters.
I've never
like the
found
Jet
one of these.
Theater.
You've never been to an
too,
after-hours?
I've never found one. I know they're around, but I've never
Wait, hey,
actually
what
found
haven't you found?
the after hours nightclubs or anything like that.
They go from
You need to hang out with Pro.
Yeah. They go from 3 a.m. to 9 a.m.
Pro scares me. I'm afraid to party with Pro.
I mean, if you come hang out, you're not coming home sooner than 7. Like,
Jeez.
it was,
I drove. I can leave on my own
I get
time.
myself in trouble a lot. Come home it's 7 o'clock in the morning. It's like, where have you been?
Don't
Dancing?
you
Dancing?
don't you dare say party.
I can't tell you. If I had to tell you, I'd have to kill you.
Dancing.
Pro's over here doing the standing worm.
My shirt right now says, "Let's get weird." You know what I mean? So,
Pause.
Stand up and let everyone on. There, it is. There you go. Let's
And it's
get,
tie-dye,
let's get
too.
weird. And it is. It's tie-dye. Where'd you get that shirt?
my lady.
Where'd she get it from?
Do you know where she got it from?
I do not.
Well, you better ask and find out.
Pretty
we can
sure
figure it
the
out.
internet can provide you with any apparel that you.
Yeah.
But I mean,
desire.
come on.
Well,
the
that's true.
The internet also has a lot of places where you can buy this shirt and then you pay $20 and never get your shirt.
I
Read the
sure.
Always read the reviews.
That's never happened to me once
Bro,
before, but
that's
sure.
like PayPal. If they don't take PayPal, you don't buy it from there. That's
What's
my
the
thumb
other
rule.
thing
Is
now
that your rule of thumb?
Mhm.
No PayPal, no sale.
Yeah, because PayPal is legit.
Yeah, but
they'll reimburse the money if you don't get the product.
what's the other one too? Isn't it like the Cash App or something
I
like
don't-
I don't know.
PayPal.
that? I don't even like PayPal.
Some of my friends are like, "Yeah, you can send me money doing this Memo or Cash
Venmo, yeah,
Venmo."
Venmo.
I'm like, PayPal.
I use Venmo all the time.
You know what I mean?
I do too.
I'm not using this new stuff. PayPal, bro. It's easy.
But wasn't PayPal in the beginning like the most sketchy one in the beginning?
I think
No,
it,
I think
No,
it was.
it's
always
because it's been around for it.
it's
It's been
been the-
around since the beginning.
It's the
That's
first
why.
legit online purchasing thing. So it's been
Everyone was skeptical of it because
Right.
everybody was like, "Oh,
Okay.
I don't like the idea of like paying
Online
with this
buying.
online shit." And now it's
PayPal's like, no, it's legit. We'll pay you back.
Gotcha. Okay, no, because I knew there were some stories about PayPal being kind of but I didn't know it was because it was the first one.
It's because you're young.
I don't know. I pay a couple people with PayPal, but I still don't trust it.
I
But-
prefer.
All the payments
Cash.
get paid and everything's good. So
I love how people when people don't trust the most secure servers in the entire world. It's amazing what perception versus reality.
No, I
actually
know,
is.
yeah.
And I'm not
No, I know.
I'm not faulting you. I'm just saying PayPal probably has one of the most secure servers for this because
Totally.
that's what they do.
Totally.
But people don't trust them because of their own insecurities. you
It
know?
is. No, it's
I
totally
love
that.
it. It just
So
makes
please,
no
as somebody
sense.
who works in a bank, let me inform you that if it's not cash and it's not PayPal, don't take it. No matter what you're doing, don't take it.
Really.
interesting.
Yes.
I
Why
guess
do you
you're
say that?
Because
Give us some
everything
knowledge.
else can basically be fraudulent, like Zelle and Venmo and stuff like that are along the lines of PayPal. But people still have a lot of trouble with all of them. But I don't have complaints, so you don't hear people coming in to file disputes against PayPal.
Hey, as long as my account says I got the money that I needed, then I'm okay.
Yeah.
I think that's what it comes down to at the end of the
I
day.
think I'm gonna use Venmo until I get done wrong.
Exactly.
I'm gonna be like, well. she
So
told
what's
me,
a
but-
case, Chris, that you would use Venmo for?
I mean, it's just all the time. Somebody gets alcohol or whatever. It's just it's hooked to your card and everything, so you can throw 5, 10, whatever. Or my roommate and I used it every month because he would write out the checks because he had a checkbook at MSU.
Yeah.
I didn't. And so he would write out the checks, and then I would Venmo him the half of the rent.
Yeah, me and my roommate
So-
use
Okay.
Facebook
Things like
Pay
that.
for the same purpose. He sends me the money there. It goes immediately to my account, and then I get a money order to pay rent every month. But
Boom.
like these are like the biggest,
Interesting.
most secure servers because that's what they're
The
made
one
to
thing
do.
that's
you
Well,
know?
sure.
about Venmo though is that they try to make it like a social media thing, and people are just so stupid. Like, like people like it's like connected to Facebook and everything, so it's like almost like a timeline. Like I don't know if you've used it before.
I've never used Venmo.
But
No.
it's almost like a timeline, and it'll be like one person paying this, and they'll have some stupid ass caption about it.
Yeah, you'll see a
Some
whole
stupid
bunch of stuff.
Inside joke or something. It's cringy.
Well, now, okay. Now I'm gonna
pull up
search.
Venmo and I'm gonna show you what my feed looks.
Right.
So Venmo. I'm gonna say Venmo stories.
VENMO.
Yep. So it's going to be there's a couple from like Business Insider and whatnot. They're horror stories. So that's great.
PayPal.
Well, okay, so I got one right here.
Go
'cause
for
I
it.
have Venmo
I
too.
want to hear like the worst stories because
Oh, not the worst, but what he's talking about is like what people use to relate why you're paying them back.
What?
So like I have one here. It looks like somebody went to the carnival.
I just love someone's like kill me please because they're paying somebody. And then someone's like, hey,
I
this
do
is
that
fake
stuff all the
dollars.
time. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
I will like if I ever have to send my roommate some money, I'll say something like specific instructions. You know, like step 1, go downtown. Step 2, buy a prostitute. You know, like you
Really?
just earmark it with whatever. It's just fun. I don't
See the Eat 'em Up Tigers guy. Ask him like how to get to this
Aw,
place.
but he's gone now.
Yeah, no, it was the I think 5-year or 6-year anniversary of his death.
You're really
the other
quiet.
day. Huh?
I just read. I was
Oh.
replied to the group chat out loud.
We're working on it.
Oh,
his,
my goodness.
His volume's up all the way, believe it or not.
Who
so-
is mine?
No, Chris.
Oh,
And
Yeah, I'm trying.
these-
point the microphone up towards your face.
Is this helping a lot? A little? Some?
Just always talk
Somewhat.
into it.
Get in there. You know,
Oh my
you want to get to know this.
Oh, it's one of those situations.
do that.
You want to tease it. No, you want to tease it. No, tease it.
Stop it.
You go.
don't wanna
you
actually
go
go
90.
for it.
Let the mic go 10.
Oh, my.
I think we. I think I know what the title of this roadshow is going to be. Chris makes love to the mic.
I just like the you go 90.
Oh my gosh.
I'm not feeling it.
Oh god.
Hitch.
Oh.
Anybody seen Hitch?
The Will
Yep,
Smith
I
movie.
knew right where it was from.
Oh boy.
Yeah, I've seen it, but I don't remember really anything from it.
When they're sitting on like the doorstep, and he was like, this is how you get that first kiss," and then he's like, "Yeah, you go 90, let her go 10." He's like, he goes all the way. He's like, "You went in for the full 100." He gave you a kiss on the lip.
Okay. Now you say it, I think I remember that now.
Oh yeah, that part I remember, but that's literally.
Oh, now you do. Now you do.
He remembers after you describe
That's
to
the
him.
entire scene for you.
Hey, my memory's not as good as it could be.
Oh my goodness. But okay.
Frying
So,
those brain cells, Eric.
Hey, I'm just saying.
Hey.
Stress is a mug.
oh my goodness. Okay, so next ramble topic, since we moved on from the auto show.
You're right.
Did you guys see that? Because I'm just gonna like kind of go out on a limb that all of us have maybe some sort of experience in customer service. I'm just making the assumption.
That's
because we're all
a
in
fair
radio.
assumption.
I'm just guessing.
I was a bartender. Bartender.
That counts. We'll count that. You deal with people.
Did you?
Except you help
people.
him solve their problems. You're like, oh my god, my life sucks. Here's
Here
a
you
gin
go.
and tonic. Go for it.
I do deal with
Here's
people.
a
Here's
double
my
of a
cup.
whiskey sour. Go for it, sir.
You look stressed out. Here you
Bartender's
go.
Probably got it the best as far as customer service goes.
Wait, you charged me $10 for a drink? Here is another. You need it. Clearly, you're stressed.
And if you can hand them a drink, they say something weird, you just walk away, go to the next customer. Just what's that? What drink do you need?
So there's a video of some McDonald's worker.
Oh my
some-
God, yes.
Some lady chucks a milkshake at her because this worker's getting angry.
And a tray.
Yeah, she's getting angry that she's getting a drink without like paying for it or something. So she got a water cup.
She got a. Like, everybody does. It's a water cup.
But she throws a milkshake at her and then a metal tray, and then they just start beating the crap out of each other.
No, they didn't start beating the crap out of each
Okay,
other.
fair.
There's one
Fair.
huge chick who
That's the worker, the McDonald's worker.
At first thought she was like a linebacker.
Wow.
I was gonna say she looks like she could play like offensive line for the Lions.
That's
it's true. Have you seen this video?
I have. Yeah, I saw it before everybody
I'm
got.
gonna link this into the Facebook.
It's
live
like
I think somebody already.
It was like a bear mauling a small child, and then just mashing her, and then throwing her around like a little rag doll.
And then
That's
like
insane.
another person comes
tries
in
to
and tries to help,
and
then
they
this
get mauled.
chick starts going nuts on her again.
She's like, I'm trying to help you out, and then
she beats the crap out of her. So this customer gets the crap.
That lady just had ruthless aggression.
Oh my god! But when I first saw this video, it is. It's you look at it.
It's a bear mauling.
I was gonna say it's not like. I could see why, like, the girl grabs, like, a chair later on in the video, because, like, you have to fend off.
And that was so stupid, though. If you're going to pick up a chair and throw it at a linebacker, throw it. Don't just try to poke it.
But when the linebacker then dodges the chair, you have nothing. You got to hold on to the chair.
Man, you're at McDonald's. You got counters.
They held the chair out in front of them to keep the lion away.
That's what
you got to do.
But here's my thing, though.
So
what that she got a water cup and put some pop in it? Is it hurting you at all?
I mean,
so I was like, my question is, what happened to you earlier in the day that got you to this point that somebody getting pop out of a water cup disturbed you that bad? What else is going on?
Yeah, but it's also because she chucked a milkshake and a metal tray at her, man.
Yeah, I mean that's what started the fight. But really quick, Robert Franks, I love it. Seen it? It's better than King Kong versus Bambi. Robert, thank you so much for the laugh. And thank you so much for participating. But that was good. Yeah, because it was like King Kong and Bambi going at it. Because after she tosses the tray at her, this worker comes over the counter. And then it's over at that point.
Like, the worker took up the whole aisle of the walkway.
I know.
I was like, whoa. Is that a table? Is that a moving table?
Like she's like choking her, doing like the UFC like ground and pound on her. I'm like, Jesus.
If you're that customer, don't you rethink your life choices when you're just like, I'm not winning this.
She was just on TMZ. Like they just did like an after report. But it was like, as Deuce Bigelow would say, that's a huge bit.
But like, oh my god. Oh man. And
yeah, movie, but I love it.
Papcheck linked it in the Facebook comments. So if you haven't seen it yet, you can quickly see exactly what we're talking about. But
wow. But yeah, I bring up the question if you guys had ever done any customer service. So have you ever seen anything close to this happen at a workplace, and like, or have you ever wanted to do something like this to a customer? Has a customer ever like flipped out on you or something?
Hey, let's have Jamie answer this first, because I think Jamie wants to do this to a lot of people.
I think Jamie's like itching to do this.
That's seriously the whole reason why I called in today.
All right, Jamie, run with it. You got as much time as you want.
The fact that I spent 5 years in my 16 years at Target, 5 years as the guest service manager.
Oh God!
So I was the one dealing with all the angry people all the time. I had one guy who refused to talk to me because he was returning a TV and I was a woman and couldn't possibly know what I was talking about.
That's messed up.
That's typical.
What year is it right now?
Yeah. Oh, that was in at least 2013, if not sooner, more recent than that.
Are you sure it's not 1912? Yeah. I don't know.
Right.
Ma'am, you don't understand. It's high definition.
It wasn't like he was an old guy. You know, it's not like he was in his 70s.
Yeah.
No, he was like 30.
Wow. Really?
He was a millennial. Oh, yeah. No, damn millennial.
So what was his reason for returning the item? Do you remember?
So
well, she said it was the
TV. And I don't know how many of you would remember this, but when flat screen TVs first came out, you had to adjust your screen because they'd be like wonky. You'd have like
dim.
They'd be off access, basically. You know, the pictures would look weird.
Yeah.
And you had to go through and adjust them, and he couldn't figure out how to do that. He said he couldn't do it. It wouldn't work.
He definitely didn't
read the instructions. And we were trying to explain to him how you did it, and he was like, nope, it doesn't work, and you don't know what you're talking about because you're women.
Well, then.
Was he Arabic?
No.
He was American?
Yes.
He was white?
Yes.
He was white? What?
Okay.
No, but
again, we have to remember that I come from the middle of nowhere. 90% of my customers were probably white.
Like, I guess you don't want to return this then.
Or wilderness animals. Like a rabbit's returning something for whatever reason.
At that
but the
point,
best part was when he wanted to talk to my manager. So I went and got my manager, who is also a woman.
Joke's on him.
He about came unglued. I had one woman who had the day before Memorial Day, purchased $500 worth of pool toys.
Wow.
And then brought them back the day after Memorial Day and said that none of them worked because they were all opened and we couldn't return opened things at that time.
How does that make sense?
But why would you do them all at the same time?
Right.
Yeah, if you just did a couple, then they wouldn't notice. Yeah.
Space it out a little bit.
Yeah.
That was stupid.
Right?
They're not buoyant.
Save some for the 4th of July.
It's not that far.
So she had a big fit when when I wouldn't let her return basically any of it. I made her exchange it all for toys.
Oh man,
You get a gift card.
So I have a fun recent story that may or may not have happened, within the last year.
It happened on Tuesday. Continue. No, dude.
So I was working at the time at a food establishment.
Can we say the name? I'm just kidding.
Making people's food for their eating pleasure. And the woman came in and she asked me to make her a salad with mozzarella cheese. Now, at this particular establishment, since I had been there, and to my knowledge, they had never carried mozzarella cheese. So I informed the customer and asked her what other sort of cheese she may like. Well, she could not accept that sitting down, that we did not have mozzarella cheese, because she comes in there all the time, and she gets that mozzarella cheese. So she insists that I must be lying and that I go check for it. So I do, and of course, there's no mozzarella cheese.
So when you check for it, do you just go in the refrigerator, kind of like just stand there for 30 seconds and be like, "Yep, no, ma'am, I looked."
He
no
went through
problem."
the in-way
there
and
and
came
walked
right
back.
back out the out. It's like, nope, we don't.
Yep.
Exactly.
Yep. So then she tells me the different kind of cheese she wants, and then she goes down there and starts telling me what she wants in her salad, and then she goes, "You know what? I got to decide if I even want your bleeping salad."
Well then.
Oh, okay, ma'am. And I looked away. I was like, this is getting awkward. So I just turned, and I was like, all right. And I'm just looking down. I feel like an awkward child. I'm like, can you please just make up your mind and go? But long story short, I literally just removed myself from the situation. I'm like, this lady, I'm not dealing with her. We have a line.
Man.
Minute 2 goes by. Turns out she's screaming at my coworker who is now taking care of her. It has devolved to, I know you've had mozzarella cheese. I've been here. So she starts.
Oh my God.
And her husband is asking her why she won't comply with the customer and that the customer's always right and that you need to do what the customer asks. So they're screaming at each other at this point. I'm trying to remain neutral because, again, I walked away and just ignored him for a couple minutes.
Right.
And then I'm like, what the hell is happening? I'm just trying to gather everything, and I'm trying to remain neutral so I can try to calm everybody down.
Sure.
And then they walk out the door, and the customer says, "You better hope I don't come back there and slap you upside the head."
She sounds
And
black.
it's like-
She black?
She may or may not have been. Doesn't matter. The point is, she screams that, and I'm working with somebody who's a lot smaller than me, and so I kind of felt this was the time I had to step in. I was like, all right, we need to stop acting like children right now. And I just yell this a couple times, and the customer just starts screaming back, and she's like,
goodness.
no, you need to get a control of your people.
What
And she
general
just starts
area do you work in?
West Bloomfield.
Wow.
And they're well. I mean, I guess it shouldn't be. Too
Her
surprised.
husband's holding the door open to our establishment so she can scream at my coworker and then me
What a
because
gentleman.
I tell her.
Still holding doors. Chivalry's not dead.
No, I had a similar situation. I wouldn't say similar, but I've had a crazy experience. For those who don't know, I work at a cellular carrier for a living, and I had a guy come in pretty much tell me that because his phone was acting up, and this guy is foreign for whatever reason to implement that. This guy thought his phone was being hacked.
Oh, no.
Blamed it on the cell phone carrier. We asked the gentleman, me and my coworker asked the gentleman to leave, and it got to the point where we had to call the cops.
What?
Yeah, he refused to leave. He was threatening us, saying that he was going to, pretty much attack us. I was like, well, at this point in time, we kind of have to call the cops.
Like,
And even when the cops got there, he was like, I'm not leaving. I want to stay. It's my worst Arnold impersonation,
Schwarzenegger,
but that's literally along the lines he was in that accent is, he's like, I'm not leaving. I want this fixed. I'm like, dude, I don't know what, and I told him, I said, look, I don't know what the hell you want me to do, but you got to get the hell out of here.
That is ridiculous.
Oh yeah, cell phones,
Like,
cell
well,
phones
just the
and
entitlement
food.
of people nowadays.
Yes,
Yeah.
cell
Like,
phones
come
and
on.
food. I generally believe are the worst places. Not necessarily the worst places,
No.
but you. Okay,
Bank.
Jamie. What else at the bank?
I was gonna say banks because you're
Banks.
dealing with people's money, and if you
Yeah.
mess up with people's money, they will murder you.
No, but like you said too, it's a sense of entitlement overall.
I get it more at like a bank than
Yeah.
like at a.
Why can't
Like
you take that
food
withdrawal
establishment
withdrawal
or-
fee off? Because you've already had 3 taken off this year.
Man, you have maxed.
Or it's not just, but like again, it's people's money. Like
Yes, I can
like-
see why that. Yeah.
like Jamie has it probably the worst out of anybody with her day job right now.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but Bianca is watching
Oh
us
my
right now.
God!
So I just wanted to say hi.
Wait.
I had a feeling Ben might,
Wait,
you know.
is this real?
Hey, Bianca, what's up?
Bianca, are you there?
Hi.
Just type hi or blink once for yes, twice for no. No, that's great. We haven't seen Bianca in a while, but what's your worst banking experience, Jamie? Because I'm sure yours would be just awful. Because it's coming down to people's money.
Yeah.
Right. So honestly, my worst experience was with a non-customer. I had a guy come up and tells me, "Oh, hey, I just need a printout for my account." I'm like, "Okay, if you'll send your ID in, I can do that for you." And he's like, "Oh, I left my ID at home, but I can give you the account number." I'm like, "I'm sorry, I don't know you. I need your ID, right?" Because it makes sense.
Sure.
Long story short, because he's like trying to get me, well, what if I send you in my address? I'm like, nope, need your ID. Well, what if I send you in this? Nope, need your ID. Starts swearing at me
Oh God.
because he's a tenant who pays directly into his landlord's account
Okay.
and apparently doesn't keep his receipts because he wants to prove that he's been paying his landlord and tried to trick me into giving him his landlord's account information, basically. And because I wouldn't do it, is screaming and swearing at me to the point that other people are like, "It's not your account. What are you not getting?"
What a jerk!
Sir, we're not
Yeah.
going to enable fraud here. Sorry. sorry.
I can't give you that information.
And again, admitted it to me because this is what it all comes down to: is all these people who do these stupid
Oh, my
things
God.
are too stupid to realize that they're doing really stupid things and then admitting to doing stupid things.
Oh my God.
Generally breaking the law. They're usually admitting to breaking the law.
Well, yeah, because they're just like, hey, just do me a solid, all right? I know I'm
Right.
just doing this.
That's
this
always
one little
everybody's
wrong
last
thing.
resort. It's just like
Just
the,
do me a
hey, you
solid,
know what?
man. I promise
The
I
come
won't say
clean
nothing.
approach.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly. That's like the
I
Hail
won't
Mary,
say
you know?
nothing.
Yeah.
Sorry, patron. I don't want to be an accomplice to your crime.
Exactly.
Right, exactly.
I don't want to
But
be
I will say,
a witness at your
when I
trial.
worked at Target one time,
Go for it.
along the lines of the bull versus the little baby deer, our AP guy apprehended this girl who was easily 6'2",
What?
and yes, she was gigantic. Like, I'm tall and I'm not a tiny girl, and she made me feel tiny. And he was all of 5'6" and maybe 145 pounds.
Oh God.
And he tried to stop her from going out the door, and she literally like belly slammed him through the doors.
That's sweet.
And then she slapped him across the face so hard his glasses went from the exit door. You know, like if you've been to a Target, you know how wide their entrance area
Yes.
is, you know?
Yes.
Like 4 double doors wide. It went from the exit door all the way over to the entrance door and
What?
bounced off the opposing wall.
Oh my God.
Wow.
And it took 3 other AP people to try to apprehend this woman and put her in handcuffs.
Oh my God.
It was hilarious. It was scary at the time because we really thought she was going to do some serious damage to this kid, but it was hilarious in hindsight because it was quite the comical show.
Oh man.
That's insane.
That would be comical though.
Yeah.
It was.
It would be. But
That would be that thing that when you're seeing it, like, am I really seeing this in real life happening right now?
no, you're just laughing and they're like, you have to help him. I'm sorry, but he just got stiff-armed by a patron. Like, I
There's nothing else I can do to help that guy.
Better, man. Seriously,
Oh, yeah.
she literally did like the good old sumo belly bump.
Damn.
That's the type of stuff you see on the internet all day, but you're not prepared for in real life. Dude, in real life, when that stuff happens,
that'd be great.
You're like,
What?
I was working at a concert the other day.
Run and
and
jump on her back, try to take her down.
we ran into a guy that
Spinning in
was...
circles like the Andre the Giant scene
Oh,
from
man.
Right?
Princess Bride.
This guy was on way too many drugs
Oh,
at a
God, this is gonna be
Shinedown
bad.
concert,
This is going to be
which
bad.
kind of seemed out of place. It wasn't too bad, but like it was just he comes up and his pupils are literally just huge, and
Oh, yeah, he
so
was
you know we're
like
just
an anime character?
yeah, and we're like humoring him, and he can barely stand, and he's just like filling out one of our things, and we're giving out like these little mini like removable tattoos, right?
Sure.
And he's just like, hey, can I have a couple of those? And I'm like, sure, buddy. And I give him like 2 or 3 of them. And he's like looking at him and he's just rubbing them. And then he sees the pile and he just slowly but surely just starts grabbing like 5 or 10 at a time and putting them in his hand to the point where I'm not paying attention. He's got like 60 or 70 of them in his hand. I'm like, dude, what the hell are you doing? And I just take him and he's like, dude, I'm going to give these out to people for you. I'm like, thanks, buddy, but I think we got it. And he's like, no. So he grabs some and he starts walking out to the crowd and he starts telling people, hey, we're giving out a bunch of stuff here. And he's just tossing them to everybody. And my coworker frantically chases after him and is like, guys, he doesn't work with us. We don't know him. He just walked up and everybody's just laughing their asses off. But this dude's like,
You just call him a volunteer.
He was stumbling through the crowd, dude. He was like bumping into people like, hey, go win some stuff. They're giving out free tickets to this over here. And we're like, dude, what the hell?
We're not.
No, we're not. We're not giving
But that
away
happens in
free
a
things.
promotional setting a lot. Because if you've worked in radio, you've worked in promotions, and you know what that life's like, and it is not fun.
I mean, look, you
it can be
find the fun in it.
I was going to say, it
really.
can be fun, depending on what you're doing. But
isn't it
Stories,
any
though,
job?
Man, the stories.
oh yeah, the stories. I mean,
yeah.
it's worth it for that alone because that's your content for when you're a host.
I've had a man, literally a 60 to 70-year-old man, get in my face about the Detroit Tigers for 2 hours, just thumping me in the chest. This all like after informing me that he was not a Detroit Tigers fan and he did not have strong opinions about them.
Was it Ray Bennett?
No, Ray
sure?
Bennett was there watching while this was happening, actually. But this guy literally was like doing this in
Poking
my
your
chest,
chest?
poking my chest for like, and I'm not exaggerating, 2 hours before someone figured out like they needed to rescue me and did. So
my goodness.
promotions is a wild ride.
Well, speaking of the Tigers, let's move on to we can basically start the rest of the road show because these are going to be sports topics from here on out. Josh Hader got a standing ovation from fans versus the vitriol of fans after kneeling for the anthem. Are they related? Hey, wait, that doesn't even make sense.
Hey, I don't think you read that right. Hold on.
You read
It
that
literally
right.
says Josh
You read
Hader
that.
standing ovation from
Well,
fans
maybe I
versus
wrote it.
vitriol from fans after kneeling for anthem.
Yeah, versus the
are they
vitriol
related?
from fans after players were kneeling during the anthem.
See, okay, so
It's poorly worded. I agree.
I was gonna say because I'm reading because you're like that's not what I said. I'm like,
You're right. Look,
That's
I was
verbatim.
typing it on my phone
No,
while
I
I was working. But
That's not what he intended when he typed
Yes.
those words.
But
Hey,
the-
wait a minute. If I can't use that excuse, you can't either.
you're right. I admitted it's very poorly worded.
Well, I
I'm
was gonna say
sorry.
when we did horse, I'd be reading it. And it's like, and you just have pro just be like, yeah, sorry. It's like-
But
okay,
no, like-
so go ahead, introduce the topic since I can't
Well,
decipher
yeah,
your code.
Sorry. Basically, just
You're okay.
we all
F3R2.
we all kind of agreed that like we spent a lot of time, perhaps maybe too much time, the NFL anthem issues where players were kneeling for the anthem and
Yes.
fans met this with total opposition. They really did not like the players doing this and they took it as like kind of an insult to the flag, an insult to the country, things of that nature. This I just kind of wanted to put it in contrast with the Josh Hader stuff. Now, if you don't know who Josh Hader is, he is an Oakland Athletics reliever. He was an All-Star this year, and after he was voted as an All-Star during the All-Star break, some people did some digging on his Twitter account and found a bunch of racist and misogynist tweets. And he claimed, and he said, the N-word. He said, I don't remember exactly what he said.
Something about like gay people.
Yeah, like really homophobic, like literally saying that
They should all die.
and like
Yeah, there's a couple
some
of
black people things. It was just a bunch of bad stuff.
A couple of them were I hate gay people, white power, LOL with an emoji of a clenched fist,
and then just
and then
KKK.
KKK, and
among others. Like it was pretty consistent with the timeline back at the time. Like in 2009, I want to say, it was roughly 9-10 years ago. So what happened is he kind of was embarrassed. He said that he was an immature kid when he did all that stuff, and that he was sorry. He was truly sorry, and
cried a little.
Basically, and his teammates kind of like, backed him up a little bit on it. In his first relief appearance at home, the crowd gave him a standing ovation when he was called from the bullpen to the mound.
Yep.
And I don't know. I guess I wanted to ask the question in the first place, is there any sort of relation between this and the anthems? And if there is or isn't, we could talk about it. But if not, like, how do you feel about a home crowd giving a guy like this a standing ovation under these sorts of things?
I don't like it. I mean, I'll just get off. I'll hit lead off on this one. I don't like it at all because it shows that you're okay with what he said. Mm-hmm. Like, I understand giving a guy support, but a standing ovation is one thing. Clapping in your seats is fine. Like, that's okay. You're showing your support, fine. But a standing ovation for like racist comments.
It's not like he did anything. It's not
like you're 17, 18. I mean, he's not like 13 or 12. When you're 17 or 18, even though yes, you're still immature, you know what you're doing, and you can't just be like
conscious decision.
Well, right, it is. Jamie, you're 100% correct. It's a conscious decision, and granted, you're still being immature, but you know what you're doing, and you can't just be like, I was a kid and sorry. Like, no. You were not like really a kid.
You were a young adult. Yeah.
You were a young adult, and that's not an excuse for what you did. And then you get a standing ovation like that. To me, that's just the most asinine thing in the whole world because you have players in the NFL legitimately protesting social injustices across many races, not just African American, but it's happening, as you see now, with multiple cultures, multiple races. And they're just doing it during the anthem to grab attention to it. And yet, as we all know, they get, like, death threats and blah, blah, blah. It's like, come on. I honestly think it's because it's I hate to say it, but a white versus black thing. I think if a black player did this, he's not getting a standing ovation. I think if a Dominican Republican player or a Cuban player, this was found out, he's not getting a standing ovation.
And he didn't even do anything. It's not like he, took some time off, went and fought for social injustice or did something, volunteered.
No, they were just
said my bad.
He said my bad. I talked to some black players too, and they said that they're okay with me.
And again, shed some tears. Never forget that he shed some tears. And I say that because that changes people's perception. Like, oh, he's so sorry. Look, he's that upset. He's crying. That's why I throw it in there.
Who else had a bad Twitter thing like that
but
recently?
It just shows that winning and being good is better than being bad. Just because if he sucked, he wouldn't have got a standing O. But they cheered because he is a good player on their team. Right. There's no way that they would have cheered for some bum off the bench. But since he is good, since he is an all-star, since he did shed some tears, it was so long ago. But at the same time,
it ain't that long
it's
ago.
like with the linebacker from Ohio State. He said some racist stuff.
Michigan State. John Reschke is.
Oh yeah, my bad. Michigan State, and then
went to Brother Rice.
They forgave him, but at the same time, I think it's more of a talent thing than anything else.
They forgave him, but isn't he Reschke like not on scholarship?
He's not on scholarship.
He can't because it's going to be his 6th year of playing football. You only get 5.
Right. Okay.
And he was on scholarship for 5.
Right. But he did say, well, he's not on scholarship. Well,
this year he's not on scholarship.
Yeah, that got me.
He literally can't be.
Because you can't be on scholarship.
I'm admittedly kind of furious because I really didn't think about the white versus black angle, and it makes me feel kind of guilty. Like I feel like that kind of makes me feel like I feel naive for not even thinking about that in the first place. But it's like that is an angle that we always kind of have to examine in the first place because it's true. Like it is mostly African American players that are doing the kneeling in the NFL, and this was a white baseball player.
Yeah, right.
And that just pisses me off that it has to. People are Stupid.
There should be like an example put out. They should just fake news some stuff a black pitcher says, and then leak out, and then see how the fans react. And like, it's all a joke. See, you guys are all assholes. You mean because I don't feel like it would have been the same.
Oh yeah, because the fans' trust of the media is strong enough for that. To happen, right?
Well, let me ask this.
Hold on, what Chris was about to say. Sorry.
So yeah, Pat, on the other like the total opposite end of the spectrum, I also hate that the first thing I thought of when I heard this story was black versus white too. Like,
yeah. Because it
shows how big of a problem it is and how it's almost natural.
Well, for almost a decade, it didn't seem like it was an issue. It seemed like a lot of people were past it, and clearly we're not.
Yeah.
So and that's what's the whole frustrating thing is. But like
it's okay for 17 and 18 though. That's like the year. It's okay.
Well,
to say.
but like that's the thing though, right? Like Chris Long, right, participated in this. Socialism protest. I'm not going to call it an anthem protest because that's not what it is.
No,
it's just when it's happening.
Yeah, it's serious.
So, but like he's participated in it, and people still like bag on him for it for supporting his teammates and being like, do you understand where they're coming from? And then they're like, yeah, we don't care where they're coming from. Like that's literally the response. And he's like,
jeez.
And that's why he felt a need to stand next to his players, not just to be a good teammate, but to be a good person and a good human. And people are just like, no, like, you don't get it, Chris. You're the one that's naive, blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, you guys are the ones that are idiots. Like, come on. So, but, like, because the whole Josh Hader thing, like I said, if you want to, like, give him, like, clapping, because it's going to take courage to, whatever, step out on the mound after you were an idiot, fine. Like, that I can understand. But a standing ovation, come on.
Yeah.
For no reason, just saying he got a standing O for saying sorry. I wish I got that every time.
Can I ask this question? Because I'm looking at some of the reports right now. Obviously, he got a standing ovation at home.
Oh yeah, he got booed on the road.
Yeah, but do you think the location plays a factor into like where he plays?
He did get booed on his first appearance on the road.
Yeah,
that happened.
Yeah,
I mean totally.
That's kind of why I wanted to ask though too. Like, do you think it might be something as far as like the city itself that he plays for, or just the fact that he's a home?
Right, but I think it goes back to like yeah, that definitely plays a factor. But I think it goes back to what Ben said. There's the difference between like clapping and a standing ovation.
Right, and that's why I wanted to ask because again, it's still their home player. I
mean, I get it. You want to show that you have your home player like home team's back, right? I get that. Like, but. A standing ovation is over the top. A standing ovation is...
It's fair.
Like
you got to do something for it.
Is like...
You got to show me something.
Seriously, let's talk about standing ovations for a second because they really have gotten out of hand in general.
Give them a slow clap.
And it's almost kind of a follower thing. Like one person stands up and then everybody starts standing up. And the more people that stand up, the more people feel like they have to stand up too.
That's a psychological thing, though. Like you're more likely to do something and just join in. If you get there were probably, I don't think you could blame every person in the ballpark, because a standing ovation is almost usually always spontaneous, and it's always just starts with some people, and then there are the kinds of people
who didn't know why that they were clapping, so they clap.
So they just stand up and get up to kind of fit in, and then the rest of the people are like, if everybody else is, I guess I might as well,
Yeah, you can't blame one person in the crowd. Like
it's like doing the wave.
Yeah, you can't blame like one person. It's like blaming the collective.
Yeah,
it's the collective mind issue.
You can blame every fan for the wave.
Ooh,
you can individually scold and blame every fan for the wave.
Well, I'm saying though, like, doesn't it normally take at least one person or one section?
But the wave is always scoldable. All right, that it's an exception to the rule. Just
I do want to touch back too on what Pro said about it being a successful player versus somebody who's not as successful. I think that has a lot to do with it too.
Yep.
There's no
think about the uproar Detroit had over signing the domestic abuser earlier in the season. And how people, literally, there was so much pushback to why they would sign this guy that has this history of domestic abuse, blah, 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 right?
Who is this?
Who?
Oh, gosh.
I forgot his name, too, but I know who she's talking about, though. How are you going to sign a guy?
He has a name similar to somebody else we have. Somebody that has internet, Google this while we're talking about it. But we also have somebody else on our team who has been very successful that does have a history of domestic abuse, and you never see any pushback about that from him.
Well, Miguel Cabrera?
Yeah, Cabrera.
I mean, there was pushback when he showed up in a playoff game with scratches on his face.
Right. Then, but
Yeah,
even
but-
now, like,
yeah, even
we're
now,
gonna
no.
we're gonna be
Derek
so
Norris?
upset that we're signing this guy when we've been paying a guy that has a history of it for years.
Talking about Derek Norris? That's what I
Yeah,
was-
Derek Norris, the catcher.
Oh, the
Yeah,
catcher.
there
It
we
wasn't
go.
a Lions guy. I thought you said Lions.
No, Tigers.
Yeah, no,
Maybe I said Lions.
yeah, Derek Norris in the offseason, they signed him as a backup catcher, and then quickly they were like, yeah, it's not worth the trouble, and we made a mistake. Bye.
And I'm not saying that we should have given the guy a chance. I'm just saying that I think that there is a lot to be said that, this guy's really valuable to our organization, so we're going to let him get away with a heck of a lot more
but-
because
That made no sense. Like, how does a backup catcher mean so much to the organization? Like, there
No,
wasn't
I'm
another
talking about
backup catcher?
Cabrera.
Oh, I'm going to say, wait a minute.
I was going to say, they got rid of Derek Norris really, really fast. Like, granted,
But that was because he sucked.
well, yes, I know.
Now, I mean, if he was good, that's what I'm saying. Like,
But
success
he also
rules
didn't-
over
they-
everything.
They weren't even willing to let him really try because the pushback got so bad so quick.
I think that it's partially the fans to blame because there's no consequences for keeping these guys.
Yeah.
Fans will still pay to see them. There has to be rules in place because if there's
Look,
not,
I'm saying from
there's
the
no
fans.
punishment.
The
I know.
pushback was
yeah.
from the fans about Norris.
Right, but I'm
You
saying
don't hear it. Yes, it's
But I-
absolutely the fans. That's what I'm saying. It's too This guy's
Oh, okay.
too beneficial to be upset about the way he behaves. So we're going to let him slide. But this guy's not as good, so he can't do that stuff.
it just kind of sounded like you were pushing most of the blame on the organization when I was
No, I
saying
was
that
not.
it
I'm
was
sorry if it
okay.
came
No,
across
that's
that way.
fair.
I
It's
was
just
not.
it's equal parts both because the organization recognizes that the fans will forgive a great player, so
Mm-hmm.
they know that they can do whatever they want with him. You know.
That's kind of like so since we like kind of compared it to the national anthem thing, I honestly feel that let's just say Kaepernick got signed by a team and he started. If he 4 or 5 weeks in a row went out there and threw 400 yards and 4 touchdowns, I guarantee you nobody would talk about it ever again because success rules over everything.
But
and
I think he'll have
That's
that
too
as-
unique of a situation, though. He's been
Yeah.
gone for so long that it would become it would define him.
But all you have to do is be good, and people are going to stop talking about the negative about you. Success rules over everything. Because if he sucked, oh yeah, he
Especially in
sucks.
sports.
He's a suck. He sucks. He's a distraction. Oh, but he's good. Whatever.
What would have I seriously still expect Colin Kaepernick to play sometime in the NFL, and I expect him to be like super, super average. Like he's gonna you're not gonna be like, oh, he has to start, but you're gonna be like, I mean,
It'll be
he could.
it'll be a great story if he
It
does
will
get
be.
signed. And I feel like Russell Wilson will get injured this year because I traded him, and then they'll more likely sign Kaepernick because they were going to see this. This what kind of pissed me off about the situation was he said that he before all this didn't get signed for a year. Then he said I won't kneel for the national anthem, and then Seattle was about to sign him, and they asked him just to be sure you're not going to kneel, are you? He's like, I might. But you just said like 5 months ago that you wouldn't do it. Now we're about to give you the contract's on the table, bro.
He's too wishy-washy.
But it's still a great story, and I hope he does get signed. Cause,
wishy-washy with what? It shouldn't. The issue shouldn't be that he's being signed or not signed because of the national anthem stuff. It's
I'm
that
saying
people
it's-
need to analyze this national anthem stuff and realize that they're looking at it the
No,
wrong way.
I'm not taking that away. I'm not taking that situation away. What I'm saying as far as the wishy-washy thing is, again, as far as like him stating that, oh, I'm not going to kneel, but then when you get that opportunity, are you going to do it? I might. You know, it's
I appreciate him for being honest.
no, and I'm
True
not,
that.
I'm not,
True that.
I'm not
Yeah.
taking that. I'm not saying that
because
either.
if I'm a GM and I'm like, hey, I'm sorry, I have to ask this of you, Colin. You said it before that you wouldn't, but if you sign, would you? And he's like, yeah, probably would
Maybe.
still do it.
But
For me, I would be like, that's not a deal breaker. I'm
It's
like,
a-
okay, sign your name.
Yeah, but
It's all about a pride thing.
Yeah.
Will you let your pride down to do something that you love? Not let's just say a radio station that you want to work at. They come out and they've been saying some racist stuff.
I wouldn't work there.
Oh, you wouldn't. You wouldn't. It's like here,
No.
we're gonna give you
I have
opportunity
these things
to
called
work
morals.
here.
I have these things called morals. Like if
That's
there was a
crazy.
company that did that, I know nowadays having morals is so old fashioned. It's
Who
out
has
of
those
style.
anymore?
Wild.
But like in all seriousness, though, like if
This is your big break, though. This is
Nope.
your.
I'd rather.
Well, I've turned down some things too, just because, like, I've been as a manager. There's been times where I've been pressured to put people on corrective action because they weren't well liked. It's the same
Yeah.
sort of thing. Like you make a stand. Are you going to be a company person, or are you going to uphold your own moral belief?
Yeah, I mean, because that's the thing. Like,
Moral. Was it moral oral? Moral oral.
but like same type of thing. Like, you know, if someone, because this was something that came up. I was looking at a message board. I forget which one, but a guy left his business because they fired someone who had cancer. But they waited until he was out of the hospital. So the cancer, I think, was in remission.
Did we talk about
no.
with the Marlins?
No, it happened with the Marlins, but this was someone else. Like, it happened in his like day-to-day business, and after it was in remission, they were like, "Hey, you're gone." Like, he came back to work, and like on his like second day, like it was like, "No, you're fired." Like, for me, I understand where the company's coming from, but I'd be like, "Yeah, I'm sorry, I can't work here anymore." Like, I would immediately start reaching out to recruiters and trying to find a different job for that reason. But yeah, the whole Josh Hader thing just doesn't make sense. I mean, it really doesn't.
It just shows what this country's about. I mean, I guess we can't say country because it's just that city.
No, it's a very loud minority.
You know what I mean?
It really is.
Yeah.
Like, not to beat a dead horse, but success rules everything, though.
No, it does. I think it does. And as Jamie brought up, it happens with Miguel Cabrera.
So does
here
Cash.
in Detroit. That helps.
No, when you said success rules everything, I was about to say actually cash rules everything. Shout out Pound
Every
Cake.
time I
Shout
said it popped in my head.
I know.
Well,
Cash rules everything around.
We have other topics that we can hit on. Our favorite guy, Kevin Durant.
Do we have the audio?
Oh, I thought we.
I don't know
What?
if it's censored or not.
What?
so-
There's
what?
There's
Does
no
it have to be?
There's no swearing.
No, what?
Nothing.
It's okay.
Keep going.
It's okay. What? What did I do?
No,
What?
Well, you didn't do anything.
What
I
did I
thought
do
we were
wrong?
sticking with baseball. I just didn't.
Oh,
I
you
didn't
wanted to
know.
go into a cup of coffee really quick?
I'm not saying we have to. I just.
Well,
Let's
they
go to
argue
cup of
over
coffee.
the transition.
Hey. So did you upload the file?
Find a cup of coffee drop.
You said what?
Just pouring coffee, because you make a point. It's a
I'm
valid
just
point.
saying it was a reasonable segue.
You
that's all.
you can drive the bus. It's a very good segue, as Roger would say. Segue.
Hey,
But no, it works.
Help him download the.
We'll get there.
Oh.
We'll get there. Relax. Hold your horses. There it is. Cup of coffee segment. Talking baseball. Obviously, this is something that was brought up, I think, last year. Or not last year. Last week, I think. Rob Manfred is blaming players and not the
yeah,
league
we
for
did bring
marketing
up.
themselves. Is he right, yes or no? And it was really interesting because on Mitten Sports Talk, Jeremy Stover is not going to be on this week, but you can catch last week's episode because we talked about it in the second hour with him. But I think it's kind of interesting because I think during the off season, it's more so the player's responsibility, but in season, it's the league's responsibility. So I kind of see both ways on this because, like, if a player during the season really doesn't want to do stuff, like, you can't make them do stuff, basically. But what are your guys' thoughts on this, Chris? We'll start off with you because for me, I don't see a big issue with it, but I know a lot of people feel differently.
As far as the marketing goes, I don't know. I think I really think it's hard to it's hard to go either way for me because both share a large responsibility for marketing. And is he saying as far as like marketing the league, or is he or like he blames the league for not marketing itself, or the players for not marketing the league?
Well,
Mike Trout is the face of the MLB, but
Right.
nobody knows his face. So that's like, and man, and I'm not mad. I'm not mad that Manfred answered the question like this. He's like, man, if he wants to be popular, it's on him. I mean, we could only do so much. Now, I understand
You're
it.
in every promo. Like we're doing.
And he doesn't do a lot of promoting himself, but you can't be mad at a player for. It's not my fault. I'm extremely awesome, and
Right.
What if I don't want to be the face of MLB? What if I don't want to do all this? How about I just
Exactly.
want to be awesome and nobody sees me? You know what I mean? So I'm not mad at Manfred for saying that, but
Yeah.
at the same time, like it goes both ways. If he wants to be more popular, he'll be more popular. Like Bryce Harper.
Right.
He
Bryce Harper gets a lot of sponsorship stuff with the league.
Because he's more. If you look at their social media, Bryce Harper probably has 1,000 more interactions with social media than Mike Trout.
That's the crux of the argument, though. Like, shouldn't the league just then go to Mike Trout and be like, hey.
How about you have a personal assistant do all this for you?
Well, no, just be like, hey, we have an opportunity with, like that stupid Chevy, like, that daughter. This guy takes his daughter and his dad to a game, and it's like military appreciation night, and so they do the whole, hey, let's stand up, and it's Bryce Harper being like, hey, I'm going to salute you. Good job. Why can't that be Mike Trout? Because that's a league-sponsored thing.
But they do have things for him. But what I'm saying is, same thing with, like, all right, not to compare sports, Kawhi Leonard. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. He doesn't have any social media stuff. So it's going to be
not the best player in the sport. It's like saying LeBron James doesn't get pushed by the NBA.
He's literally a top 3, 4, 5 player.
Yeah. You know what I mean? So if he wants to, if he wants to be awesome,
that's a tier.
If he wants to be in the limelight, he will. And that's like, but he's not. So you can't knock a dude for just wanting to play the game and go home after the game.
Right. Sure.
Right. So so to
especially
me,
in the current climate that we treat our social media and our players too.
The MLB kind of wishes that Bryce Harper was at his peak like it was a couple years ago because they would have him as a face because people love the hair. He's out there in the outfield is wishing it back and forth. People just love the interaction with Bryce Harper. But those are two different players, and same thing. You can't knock a person for reacting a certain way to social media or not even want to react at all.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, I can see that. Jamie, what are your thoughts on it, just out of curiosity?
Well, I think that I fully agree with Pro's point. Like, you can't knock somebody if they don't want to be in the limelight, especially, like I said, with the way we treat our heroes these days. But I do think that the league owns some ownership of it. If you want him to be your star, you can put him in more things. You can add him to that commercial. You could have 2 commercials. You could have Bryce Harper and Mike Trout doing the commercial. There's no reason that they couldn't, but
sure.
But we don't know if they've asked him and he said no. I don't think Manfred would throw him under the bus. Like, we've asked the guy, he keeps saying no. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
no, and he's just an example too.
But if he could easily just have like a personal assistant, or you're my social media person. You're paid to do my social media, and then say certain things, and then because a lot of famous people have a person who does their social media. Like, if anybody thinks that their favorite famous person actually does all their social media, you're wrong. Because
unless it's Kevin Durant.
he does all his and others.
First of all,
you know what I mean. So people pay other people to do their social media. So he could do the same thing, but he doesn't want to. He just wants to be great and go home.
Do you think Kevin Durant, like, at one point was just like, "Hey, tweet out, I hate like X player," and the kid's like, "No, I don't want to. No, tweet it out. It's your job." No, like, no, that's just
all
there's
right,
no
new
point.
account.
Yeah, and he's like, "Okay, you're fired.
New account.
I'm just gonna take over. Give me the keyboard." No, but I don't know. Like I said, during the regular season, I think it's the league's responsibility. Like, even if Mike Trout says no, Rob Manfred has to be like, "Look,
we own your face."
Well, not just that, but look, I'm not asking like every opportunity. Like, I'm asking like a couple opportunities, because even when it comes to like league promos, you don't see Mike Trout that often.
Or emotion. You don't see like person like in the interviews or like commercials. You don't see like personality. You just see a person just.
But like here's the thing, because like one of the league partners, right, with Major League Baseball is Apple. Like, why can't you have like Mike Trout? It's really, really simple. He's wearing like the warm up stuff, like still the pants, but like the warm up top. But like he's about to step into the batting cage or whatever. But he's wearing like headphones, and everything's quiet. Like the entire screen is just quiet. And then he takes off the headphones, and then you can actually hear the ambient noise. And it's just like a really simple way to have Mike Trout be the face of a commercial, because with Apple's headphones, he's dialed in, he's focused. Without it, you hear everything. Like, that'd be a simple thing. And if Trout says, "Hey, no, I don't want to do that," be like, "Great, but you need to take the next opportunity because we need to market you." Yeah.
Well, no, we own you.
Talents, my friend. That was a good commercial.
The MLB's most marketable
I'm a very
stars,
talented man.
The MLB's most marketable stars are on teams that are successful in the postseason.
That's true,
Yeah.
and that was a point that we brought up.
I know we brought it up last week, but
No,
I mean,
but you're 100% correct.
like,
I think it hurts that the Angels aren't good.
because
No,
there's only so many people that see him play because of the market.
Well, that
okay,
too,
and
they
then
play it.
now in the playoffs, everybody sees you. But when's the last time they've been in the playoffs, and when's the last time they've got out the first round, if they even got in the playoffs? So nobody really sees him.
Mike Trout is Matt Stafford.
that's
I can see it.
Hang on,
Sort of.
it kind of is. They've gotten to the postseason. They sucked in the postseason. They're arguably one of the best at their position and one of the best in the league at what they do, and they play for bad teams.
That middle one is where the it gets a little
yeah.
off
Where it gets
because
shaky.
Mike Trout is clearly
like
the best baseball
Mike Trout's
player.
the best baseball player in the game right now.
Yeah.
He might be the best baseball player ever.
Well, right.
Like-
And I don't think Matt Stafford is ever going to be like, you're the best quarterback of all time.
Exactly.
Never.
But-
If Mike
The
Trout
point
stays
remains.
with
But,
his team, he probably
yeah.
will go down as
You
the
have
best
to take
player
some leap of faith
ever
with
on the
me on
shittiest
that.
team.
Sure.
No, I think, and I think going back to the marketing thing, I think it's really, you guys brought up a bunch of good points that it's also the players, it's also that, but sometimes it's just a matter of luck, right? Like getting LeBron James to like having the type of personality that he has, like in everything, is lucky for the league, right? That he became the face of basketball. So sometimes you can't really. There's definitely blame on both sides as far as marketing goes, but sometimes it's just a matter of luck.
No, I think that's a great point too. I mean, you have to Pro said, you have to be open to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think that's true too.
Man, we own your face. We own all the video of all your games. We'll put some highlights together and throw it in a commercial, and then we just say, "You got to." I got skate up. My name's Mike Trout, and like we're gonna make more commercials with you if you like it or not. You know what I mean? So that's
what I mean. Like it falls on both parties. Like people can hate Rob Manfred for
it's a wrong market though. Like maybe L.A. is a highlight market. You look at every other L.A. franchise. You know what I mean? People have a player on that team that everybody loves. Dodgers, you got Kershaw. All right, now we're talking about the A's. That's not really L.A., but the Rams, Gurley, Donald. You know what I mean? If you look at the
Los Angeles,
L.A.,
of Anaheim.
you know, now you got LeBron, but if you're in L.A., people want that highlight, that commercial player, and they don't really have that.
KCP.
Stop it. Stop it.
So, I mean,
Pay KCP.
no.
But no, I think also though, like, I mean, it's a combination of things. It really is.
It's not.
But-
It's not
That
just
is an
one.
incredible
But that's what I'm saying.
tweet.
Like Rob Manfred,
That is
I think gets a
incredible.
little too much of the blame.
But he answered it correctly, though. I'm not mad at him just being real. And I love the show that he answered it on. PTI, my favorite sports talk show.
Of course.
You know what I mean? But he just gave him a real ass answer. He's like, man, we've tried. It's on him. He wants to be more popular. The ball's in his court. So I honestly think there's more things going on in the background. He didn't say like, oh, we threw him a couple bones. He's not eating it. So what more can we do?
Right.
Yeah, no, that's completely fair.
You know,
It's not our fault. His team sucks. It's not in the playoffs. What if he would have said that?
If this isn't done well enough, that's okay. But who do you think is everybody's favorite Tiger right now?
Right now,
Like right now at this very moment.
Nick Castellanos.
You think it's everybody's? I
don't know. I'm guessing. 'cause
I kind of get the feeling that Nick Castellanos, like he's always kind of had a standoffish sort of until this year. He's always been kind of standoffish with the media, So like, I don't know. Like
I don't have a favorite Tiger.
I mean, I would guess it would be Castellanos just because he's a name. But
you're right.
I mean, everyone kind of
The longest tenured name that's not injured.
Damn.
yeah, right.
Actually producing it at a semi-decent rate.
I mean, I could see people though liking like Jacoby Jones because everyone in this town likes mediocre white guy players.
But that's the thing where it goes
Wait.
back to. That's
Everybody.
why. But wait, that's how it.
I have a very favorite Tiger. I can't say who it is because they'll have a career-ending injury the minute I name them a Tiger.
What number?
But
Dixon Machado got DFA'd and literally only declined after I said he was my favorite Tiger.
But here's the thing that goes back to success. If Miggy was playing and he was good, like let's just say he's not hitting Triple Crown numbers, but if he's like good, everybody's favorite player would be Miggy. But since he's hurt, he's not. There's no success. Nobody likes him.
That's why it's a good question. Who do you think is this town's favorite Tiger? I don't know.
I bet you Nico Goodrum is getting up there right now.
I would hope
I
so.
would say that's true too.
I stick it to the name because since there's so many no-name people on this team, if you just went up and asked strangers, who's your favorite Tiger? They're going to, what's the first name I could remember?
Justin Verlander. He's not here anymore.
I get that all the time. I'm serious.
I know.
Working promotions, you're doing Tiger stuff, and people are like, yeah, I love Justin Verlander.
You're trying to do an interview. Like, I can't put this in the interview. Stupid.
You realize he's not a Tiger anymore, right?
No, but like, since I don't work for a sports station, like, I'm not supposed to like bring that stuff. You're just supposed to be like, yeah, you just let it go.
Yeah, he was good when he was here. I appreciate you, man. Good call.
Good looking out.
Yeah, good call.
Those were good times when he was here.
Yeah, that's all I could say. So it's like, I don't know. It's weird, but
that's why I cried in November because he got his ring and it wasn't here, and I was so mad.
I know that was rough. That was real rough.
So mad.
I loved it. You know what I mean?
I did too. I was happy for him, but it was still rough.
No, because not even because I'm from Detroit, but if there's like certain people that is putting the time and the effort in, and who's never won a ring of any out of all the sports, you know what I mean, who deserved it. You know what I mean? And I honestly look at him, regardless if he's on my team or not, he's a player who ultimately deserved a World Series ring either way.
That's noble, Mike. That's real nice. That's real selfless. I, however, am a selfish Tigers fan, and when he goes into the Hall of Fame, if he's wearing an Astros jersey, that's upsetting as hell to me.
I think
he would hunt Justin Verlander down and murder him.
There's no way.
I think there's a possibility. Let's say
there's no way he's going in the Astros jersey.
Let's say Houston wins another World Series, not this year, but next year. He wins 2 out of 3.
Yeah.
True
and
that.
he keeps this record of like being this good.
He's got a two-tone jersey on with Astros on one side and the D on the other side.
You see what I mean though? Like I wouldn't blame him for going in as a Houston Astro, but it wouldn't make like the fan part of me would be furious about it.
But either way, he's going to go in the Tigers Hall of Fame. He's going to get his number retired
you see
here.
What they did for Jack Morris at Cooperstown? They showed the Tigers tweeted out like the display case. It's a Tigers jersey. It's a Twins jersey, and I think a Blue Jays jersey. So like there's 3 jerseys. I'm like, no, because like the same thing would happen with Verlander. Be like, hey, there's the Tigers jersey, there's the Astros jersey, and it's going to bring up bad memories. I don't like it.
I'd rather it be both than just the Astros stuff, man. Like,
oh God, yeah.
I'm just saying, like that's like seriously when he got traded.
First?
What?
Which half is going first? The Tigers has that way when you read Tigros.
I don't know. I'm just.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. I mean, I don't know.
Well, because it's different with Miggy's ring because Miggy got one like as a long time ago
as a rookie
at his best years.
With the Marlins too,
which is. The Marlins won a World Series,
Twice.
and the Tigers were that good for so long, and they didn't win.
I mean, the Marlins won 2 World Series, and immediately after both World Series, they sold their team basically and was like, "Hey, we can do this again," and they did.
Well, and the Tigers got like the remnants, like Dave Dombrowski was down there, Jim Leland was down there, and Miguel Cabrera was down there. Just moved them up north.
Last question for a cup of coffee, then we're going to talk college football because Big Ten Media Days.
Or Kevin Durant for a second.
Oh yeah, I forgot. Mike prepared a little audio for that.
Well,
we don't have to though.
I got it.
Really quick because we can to wrap up cup of coffee. Who out of the trade possibilities for the Tigers? Who likely does not get moved? Who is going to stay a Tiger? Just really, really quickly, we'll go around the horn.
Since it's come out that the Tigers, the price is too high for Fulmer and Castellanos, neither one of those two are going to be traded. Just because the price is too high, nobody cares about.
Well, Fulmer's on the DL, so you can't trade a player on the DL.
He is able to come off on the 30th or the 31st, though.
But at the same time, even next month, you know what I'm saying? Like, either way, the price is too high. So
waiver deadline.
They're too good to be put on waivers.
They're not going to be traded. But I want anybody who's going to be a free agent next year.
But like out of these names, Martin, Green, Iglesias, Castellanos, out of those guys, who's going to be Tigers?
Castellanos.
Well, probably.
I don't think Shane Green goes, and
I don't think any of them go.
I like.
At this point.
I think Green will because he's got one more year on his contract, so he's not just a rental. Even though he's not great, but they still a lot of these rentals are going around as 1 year deals, but they own it for another year.
If Leonis Martin is on this roster after the 31st, I'll be so upset. He is literally only on this team just in case he did exactly what he did and have a career year so they can flip him. That is exactly why he's on this team. Same with Fires, same with Liriano. That's why I didn't even list their names in that question because it's like, in my opinion,
they have to be
Fires
traded.
and Liriano have to be traded. And I wanted to bring this up. I know we're wrapping this up, but Liriano had an allergic reaction the night before this recording, and Blaine Hardy will now start the today's game.
But Liriano is eligible to come in relief.
But doesn't that just scream we don't want him to inflate his ERA? We don't want people to get a better look at him. We want him gone.
Not necessarily because the teams that are looking at Liriano are looking at him
as a long reliever. You're right. That's fair.
What I mean? So maybe they're doing it on purpose. Like, all right, you're looking at him as this type. So how about we show you what he's going to do? Because he's not a starter, and I don't see him as a starter. He's past that time.
He can be an innings eater type fifth starter kind of guy if you need him to be. I
mean, you can get if the Cubs can get Cole Hamels for low level prospects, you can get low level prospects for Liriano. I mean, you could be like, hey, we'll give you Liriano, give us your second best AA player.
Because I just don't. Liriano can't make it through the lineup. Just like Zimmerman, he's good for the first two sets of the players, but at third rotation,
the third time through the rotation,
done.
Can we talk about least favorite Tigers players? Man, I've never liked Jordan Zimmerman.
But that's the only thing, though. Like if I started Zimmerman, he would only by that third time up. No, no matter. I don't care. I don't care if you have 43 pitches and you made it through the first two line. No, you're not getting to third.
So he should just go to the Rays. Then they should trade him to the Rays, where they do the opener thing. So he only has to face him twice, and he can go later in the games.
I'm pretty sure with the Rays,
the Indians,
the Rays just did something amazing, which I thought I would see more. Instead of taking their pitcher out, they put him on third base, brought in another pitcher for one batter, and then brought him back to the mound after that. So that way they didn't get rid of their pitcher, and he continued to pitch out. And I was like, why haven't I seen that more?
It's risky.
I didn't think you could put a player back at a position you already pulled them from.
No, you can, as long as they're on the field.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it
blew my mind. I was like, that's smart, though.
In theory, you could have Leonis Martin pitch to a guy and then go back to center field and have, as long as the switch is happening still in field, you can do it.
Mm-hmm.
You can't bring someone out from the bullpen or dugout to replace.
Because they did it for one batter. It was a left-handed batter, and the pitcher wasn't good against left-handed batter, so they put him on third base.
Yeah.
After that batter, they put him back on the mound. And
baseball is fun, unwritten rules like that you can definitely do that. But Jamie, out of anyone that could get moved, who would you pick? Or to stay, I should say. Who do you think is going to stay?
Martin's gone. Martin's going to be gone. He's not going to be around as much as it pains me to say it. He's gone just because I want him to stay. But I think that we're going to be stuck with Green.
Probably.
Why is that a bad thing, though?
It's not because we got another year.
We're not fantastic, but he's not awful.
I think we're going to re-sign him. He has enough upside to where it doesn't hurt to just keep him around. And I loved the trade for this guy. I'm still fully convinced that if they didn't move him to the bullpen so quick, he'd have been an effective starter.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'll never forget the Free Press. This guy's going to win the Cy Young. Worst September Heisman pick ever.
God, I don't remember that.
You don't remember that article?
No.
2 years ago? When he came out on fire in April, had an ERA.
I remember his hot start, but I don't remember people saying stuff that.
The Freep wrote an article, Shane Green, early favorite for Cy Young, and it's you literally just gave this guy the September Heisman. Good job.
Yeah, that's 3 starts.
Good job. Through his 4 or 5 starts, yes, he was amazing. And then after that, he came down to earth really, really freaking fast. Okay, let's go to it's CJ McCollum, right? And Kevin Durant?
Yeah.
Just because I know Chris checks out during baseball time, which is totally fine.
Yeah, so I was like,
he was actually pretty.
We do a little NBA, topic real quick. And
Yeah,
Chris
the name
did a
I was
good
gonna
job.
suggest that stays on the Tigers is Justin Verlander.
Of course, it would
Before
be.
he goes to
He's your favorite
Cooperstown,
Tiger,
he's
right?
going to get like that 2-hour contract where it's like, hey, sign here, you're a Tiger for 2 hours, and you have to immediately say that you're retired.
I really wish Ray Bennett were listening right now. He would be literally red with rage right now. of all
Except
of them.
Justin Verlander is one of the best pitchers in the game. You can hate him all you want, but it is what it is.
the name
He
of
is.
Yeah, I know, but just Ray would get.
Oh, I know. Ray would get into a tizzy because he and Matt Derry think otherwise, and yeah, that's. A
Oh
different-
no, but Ray Bennett told me that Justin Verlander had an attitude that would never win the World Series ever, no matter where he went. So
glad he's wrong.
that's all. Anyway, go
But
ahead, Mike.
The name of CJ McCollum's podcast, because we got to throw it out there, is called Pull Up, and he had not Pull Out, it was Pull
I
Up.
was gonna say, my head went the other way.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, that's a different
That was,
name.
But
that's a dope name.
and
for his
then Kevin
podcast.
Durant was on the podcast, and he asked them like they're talking about when Boogie signed, and this is the conversation. I shortened it up a little bit, but this is the conversation right here. This is what Kevin
Oh my God, Kevin Durant with the best. How'd you play?
throwing like an ace seed.
Oh man.
Oh my God!
Yeah,
Really
KD
quickly
has
though,
no
CJ
chill.
McCollum, F, on the off chance you're listening to this podcast, Sports Radio Detroit will be more than happy to engineer your podcasting because that was not good.
Yeah, that's
No,
not,
but they needed that. They needed our
We
intro.
love you though. We love you in Portland. We'll make a trip out there if you fly us out there. We'll fix it up for you. And
No,
then,
they needed our intro with eating the crackers
class.
because that's all anybody's going to hear is you eating the crackers
Eating those
because
crackers.
you can hear both of them just
It's
sucking on a
incredibly
now
good.
later.
Yeah.
It's like,
it's incredibly annoying, Frank.
that was.
That was
That-
brutal. Oh my!
He said,
God.
"Don't worry about what goes on
at the
up top."
top. That's what blew my mind. He's like, don't worry about what's going on at the top. Like, damn,
Literally vicious, super vicious.
I can't
But-
believe CJ McCollum is getting mad about Cousins going there. Like,
No, because he felt that he could have came to Portland and did the same thing. They could have had the 1-2 punch, like because that's what he followed up and said. He said that we could have had the 1-2 punch with Nurkic and Cousins. You know
That
what I
would have
mean?
been
And then
sweet.
Durant was like,
that would actually
but
be kinda
Durant,
interesting.
but I
Didn't Ed Davis
shortened
just
it.
leave,
Durant said, but y'all
Yeah.
can't do that. But then you and Lillard would be pissed because you can't dribble 8 dribbles and then pull up a shot because there's too many people shooting threes. That's too much of y'all, and that's too much of you wouldn't have the yin and the yang. That's when he said, don't worry about what's going on at the top. But I kind of see it, but at the same time, like he can't be mad just because. I mean,
That
if you looked
funny.
at the Warriors, okay, now let's just say I'm gonna tell you a team's lineup, and you tell me what do they need to fix. I'm going to start off. Their starting center, JaVale McGee. Oh, they need to change that off rip. So, okay, they still had room to improve regardless of the team that they had.
Yeah.
They needed to upgrade at center. They got an amazing
They're
center.
supposed to just be like, no, let's pass on DeMarcus Cousins because that just wouldn't be fair to the rest.
And I think it was smarter for him too. He's gonna more than likely he'll probably get a ring out the deal. You know what I mean, so he doesn't need he doesn't need a ring chase, but at the same time, he's going to a great organization. It's gonna make
It's
him
going to
look.
change his reputation.
It's gonna change his reputation. He's gonna get paid fat, and at the same time,
He's
if
also going to one of the best medical staffs in the league, and he's in a situation where he can play where he does not have to be rushed back at all. This guy can play. Like I've heard rumors that they're considering playing him since January, February once a week.
But he's
in the
not.
regular
He's
season.
not playing at the very least until Christmas. That's like.
Yeah,
But at the same time,
he's not going to
but
play back to
now
back. So
here's
he has no pressure.
Here's a
I love
conspiracy
it.
theory. Now, let's just say DeMarcus is playing phenomenal. Now, they still need a center moving forward. Klay
Could they trade
Thompson
him?
is a free agent. Now, I have no issue with them shipping Klay somewhere and Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, and then
Let me tell you-
Boogie as the
Let me
center.
tell you why that can't happen.
Yeah.
That can't happen because the Warriors, when you sign somebody for the veteran minimum, the most you can offer them the next year is 120% of that. So the most they can offer Cousins next year is $6 million,
Yeah.
no matter what.
But
Yeah.
look,
So,
the whole Cousins thing.
but I get what you're saying.
CJ McCollum isn't the GM. He shouldn't be bitching at Kevin Durant or Cousins. He should be bitching at his GM. DeMarcus Cousins' agent called the Warriors to set up the whole signing. Nobody called DeMarcus Cousins. So anybody bitching in the league, that actually makes me furious that he's complaining about it. Anybody bitching about DeMarcus Cousins going to the Warriors?
It was more of a conversation, though,
had a chance.
because he actually, earlier in the thing, he said that after he signed, he has Boogie's number. He was like, bro, you could have came here, blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? So he's just kind of just like,
you're right.
A pissy, you know what I'm saying?
It's like a conversational, like joking sort of thing. Yeah, but like, no, I'm just saying you shouldn't be angry at that happening when all other teams realistically had a shot to contact him before he contacted the Warriors and they didn't, you know?
Yeah.
Like that's why I don't feel bad. And I also think that DeMarcus Cousins come back 100%.
My hot take about the whole Boogie thing is I think it's the best thing for the league because this gives him the best chance at getting back to 100% or as close to 100% as possible.
Because anywhere else he would have tried to get on the court sooner. To try to get a better,
all that, yeah. And so it's best for the league in the long term because this is your best chance at saving what was like a top 10 player in the league before he got hurt. Like, so, you know, yeah, it might, and plus it's going to be fun, like, to see that team. Like, it really is.
Yeah, because so the other part of the conversation was him talking about Durant coming there. But at the same time, they had so much money. It doesn't matter if Durant would have went there or not. There was a lot more players who could have signed, but at the same time, it's positions that they needed.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Did you guys see the Twitter exchange that happened after?
No, that I did.
Yeah. Okay, here I'll pull that up. Go ahead.
Yeah, because he said because I mean, looking at the team, all right, before Durant signed it, they needed a person who can just take it to the rack. Like even, what's to say, not to put in video game terms, but if you're playing the game, like you can shoot threes all day, but if you're not shooting good, you need somebody who could dunk. They had nobody on the team who could take it to the rack all day.
Consistently, Draymond was just...
Draymond and Iggy can do it 3 to 4 times a game, but you don't need to have them dribbling the ball. They needed somebody that would make teams afraid of them taking it to the rack. And then, perfect player, Kevin Durant. You know what I mean? So they needed a center. You got Zaza Pachulia and JaVale McGee as your center.
I got the tweets pulled up.
That's
here.
Now current Pistons Zaza Pachulia.
Yeah, there we go.
All
Champion.
Right, so this is CJ's Twitter account right after the podcast, and it says, "I still think the B word is harsh, and it shouldn't be used."
Well, hold on. To provide context to that, Big Cap from Barstool tweeted at CJ McCollum, "Hey CJ McCollum, permission to start using the B word again for KD."
Okay.
And
yeah, I thought that was the response. So
yeah.
Being a smart aleck, but so this is CJ's tweet again. It says, "I still think the B word is harsh and shouldn't be used. He knows that decision was soft, but I respect it. It's like getting jumped with your brothers by a gang you should have beat, then joining the gang that jumped you and your brothers 2 months later and forgetting about your bros." And then Kevin Durant responded,
Like, wait a minute.
yeah, literally. It would have. Let's see. All right, so I would have. This is KD's response. So I would get into a gang fight, lose, plot on my brothers for 2 months in our home, and then go get the gang we lost to and beat him up. You think that low of me, CJ? I just did your podcast. Snakes in the grass, boy, I tell you.
And then the media took this way out of control because they were just joking with each other. Every clap back, people think, they're beefing, and then they started coming at Kevin Durant. And then we don't need to go into that whole spiel about Kevin Durant's thing at USA Basketball at the same time.
I didn't even see it, in all honesty. I saw the video of it real quickly, but I didn't actually get to
He basically saying, like, y'all taking some of the shit I'm saying way too serious.
Yeah.
Way too serious. But I found that
shit was
what Kevin Durant said, it's very true. You know what I mean? Like, don't worry about what's happening at the top. But at the same time, like, at this point of where the league is, that's all CJ can do. Like, they're not a team that's going to contend for a championship. So he's like, just continue to play basketball, man. You know what I mean? Don't be butthurt at some of these things that's going on. But it was just like, that was harsh.
No, it was very harsh. But that's my only take on it is the fact that ever since
it got harsh after the fact. I mean, during the podcast, it was nothing.
Right.
It's like if you're spitting fire like that, what you have a fake Twitter account for?
Exactly. But no, my thing is like
that's exactly what I said.
Ever since KD got to Golden State, he's been more like this vicious, clap back type of guy.
Because nobody was hating on him in Oklahoma City, but
Nobody gave him a reason to be
You
hated.
do something that you want to do, and people hate on that. Now people are just talking trash. It was like, and we've had this discussion numerous times. People handle criticism
very differently.
So I'm not going to knock them.
Speaking of criticism, got a nice little segue into Big Ten Media Day.
Dun, 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 dun.
Jim Harbaugh was everyone's favorite whipping boy, as he always is. Now it's entering year 4 of him being a whipping boy.
I wish well, I mean, you can see Papchak's face right now.
Well, I'm wearing a Michigan hat.
Hey,
What?
we're wearing Michigan hats. The Mikes.
The Mikes with the M's.
Boom.
That's how you tell them apart.
Both Mike P's.
But no, literally, as you started talking about, he adjusted and was like giving you that straight face, like, I am ready.
No, not that.
Well, no, but like,
I'm just not wearing that crappy, dirty Electric Forest hat. That's all.
that's
I'm proud of it, and I'm like, oh, hey, this is relevant now. Yeah.
But
all right, go ahead, Ben.
I mean, as we know, Big Ten Media Day happened on Monday and Tuesday, wrapped up with the luncheon on Tuesday. And I mean, if you looked at, what was being said, what was not being said, Teddy Greenstein, who writes for the Chicago, what is it, Sun still? Or maybe it's the Tribune. Either way.
I know the Tribune.
He was saying how Jim Harbaugh's lost his fire. This isn't Jim Harbaugh that we're used to, blah, blah, blah. And, of course, Jim Harbaugh, every coach was asked, hey, what would you do with the playoffs? And he's like, well, 8-16. And everyone immediately was like, that's because you can't get in it. Because your team sucks.
No, he said, well, getting rid of the Big Ten championship game.
and then the joke was, it affects his team not at all because they can't get there in the first place.
Damn.
But like, everybody took that out of context because, okay, we can have a debate. Should they have more teams? Blah, blah, blah. But with the current TV contract, you can't change any of the teams until 2026. Yeah. So it's an irrelevant conversation whatsoever. Right. I don't care about what's happening in 7 years.
But it's Jim Harbaugh.
But they could break that contract, though. I mean, I think Scott Frost's idea was perfect. If you really want to expand it the right way. Everyone from the Power 5, those conference champions, get in automatically. And then you use the rankings to figure out the other 3 teams to get to 8. Now, like, if you want to expand, that's the way to do it. If not, I say keep it at 4.
I like
Force the committee, because we argued about this last year. Force the committee to get it right. Alabama had no business being in that.
We don't need to go down this road. We don't need to do it.
Hang on. But in all fairness, they were given the opportunity.
I think I taste some salt here, guys.
It'll be 2 hours of me repeating the same thing.
But yes, the apple oranges. We're talking apples and oranges. But it's Alabama was given a gift. They took advantage of it and won the national championship.
Roll Tide.
They got in.
Shut up.
But they did. They got in based on brand. They didn't get in based on merit.
They
got in based on brand. And they took hats off to Alabama and Nick Saban. They won their national title. They did a great job doing it. Hats off to them. You can't take that away.
But I feel like since Alabama won, they basically got it right. The better team should have been in there.
But we don't know that because based on resume, Ohio State should have been in
They
that
shouldn't
playoff.
have lost by.
I was going to say, you know why it shouldn't expand? Because there's no right answer to this argument, and it can be had till the end of time.
Oh, sure. But that's my point. I'm glad you said that. I want to force the committee to get it right. Expanding it to 6 or 8 gives them outs.
Yes, that's why I don't want to see it either. It's like, okay, so you're telling me that you're like, oh, we got it wrong, so we're just going to open it up so we don't get it wrong
We
anymore.
can't narrow it down to 4, so maybe 6 to 8 is a little bit. But if you think about it, if you look at the standings, the past 2 years, it could be a 6 team. You know what I'm saying? Because there's no more than 2 teams that's in the argument.
Here's the thing.
There's no more than 2
teams
in the argument.
But here's another thing that would happen if you expand it to 6 or 8. You lose the importance of games in the regular season. Like, instead of it being like, oh my God, it's Michigan State, Ohio State, but it's for seeding. Like, who the hell cares if it's for seeding? I want it to mean something. If it's Notre Dame, USC, it's for seeding. If Notre Dame loses, they're out of the playoff. Like, no, or they'll drop from like 4 to 8. It's amazing. No, like if you lose, get out of the playoff. Like, make that regular season game at the Coliseum or at Notre Dame Stadium matter.
Well,
like that's the whole beauty of college football is those rivalry games still mean something.
Well, I mean, the playoff also has eliminated any sort of point to play a tough non-conference schedule.
Well,
why would you risk it? Because, okay, There's no. It's shown that even if you do lose once, it doesn't matter. But why would you risk it? And instead, you could just win out, so it doesn't become a blemish on your resume.
Okay. UCF, they won out. They weren't.
They're not in a Power 5 conference.
What I'm saying is, you do need to have tough opponents because
not if
people
you're in the Big Ten, not if you're in the SEC.
Because
Alabama,
Ohio State didn't get in because they lost to a BS school. You know what I mean? So if you're going to count,
they lost to Iowa. It was a conference opponent. It wasn't a BS school.
What did Iowa finish?
It doesn't matter. It was a conference game. I'm saying,
but you're playing Iowa regardless.
It was a garbage.
Iowa regardless. Yeah.
So you're trying to say number ranked. They're ranked 12th. Iowa is the same as an unranked under 500 Iowa.
I'm saying you're dragging my point and making it something different. What I'm trying to say is why would Alabama ever change their whole I'm going to play an FCS team every single year 2 weeks before the end of the season? Like they've shown that like at least it seemed like when there was only 2 teams vying for the championship, it seemed like non-conference games mattered more. With 4 teams even, it makes them matter less. And if you expand past 4, it makes them pointless.
Well,
it means that I am going to play the easiest games possible because if you open it up, you'd rather just have all wins. Like I don't know.
Jamie, what are your thoughts? You've been kind of quiet.
Yeah, I don't see any point in expanding it any further. Why? You're just inviting more controversy by opening it up.
Yeah, like that would have been like USC would have been in the playoff last year, you know, as a 9-3 team who had 2 really bad losses in conference.
But I just don't think you should get in the playoffs as you lose by 31 to an unranked team.
But here's the thing.
That's another rule.
I get that. Hang on. No, you can say that and laugh.
That's completely beyond the point.
Pro, you can say that and laugh. Yeah. But you shouldn't get into the playoff if you schedule a regular season game against an FCS squad. That should automatically that should count even if you win. It shouldn't count as a loss. It should count as a game that didn't even happen.
If your only loss is to a BCS game member, then that you shouldn't have.
But here's the thing.
This
is how you fix that, right? It's really, really simple. It's an easy fix. If you want to schedule an opponent that is not of equal caliber, so I'm not saying like you're scheduling like Vanderbilt of the SEC, like a team that's still playing in the SEC but is not great, right? You can go out to the Sun Belt, get a team. Go out to a MAC conference, get a team. Mountain West, same thing. Schedule those games as your non-conference games and have a spring game against FCS. That way you can still donate money to the FCS programs, which they take a pool out of the NCAA general fund anyways. But you still can pay them the $1 million. They're going to scrimmage. It's not going to matter. You're still getting better. You're still seeing true competition. And that's what your spring game should be. Admission can still be free to that. And then you bar FCS teams and Power 5 teams scheduling each other in the regular season because you still get the payday. Because that's the only reason why they do it. You still get the payday. Because, again, I look at Alabama scheduling an FCS team. To me, that's like I said, it's not a loss. But it's a game to me that doesn't happen. It shouldn't count as a win either.
Okay, so what's wrong with Michigan State playing Utah State this year? What's wrong with Michigan playing SMU?
But that's my point. Nothing's
wrong with it.
That's my point. Nothing's wrong with it because they're not FCS schools. That's what I'm saying. You can schedule down to like the Sun Bowl or the Mountain West or whatever. You can do that because that's still
like Michigan
1A
State
football
versus Utah State will have the same outcome as Alabama versus
not necessarily.
Alcorn. Way less likely.
Not necessarily.
Alcorn. That's a D1 double.
I'm just naming a.
I know,
but I'm saying like the difference between like the best even an average FCS team and a bad FBS team, unless you're Kansas. Literally, there's a huge difference. But Kansas has lost more FCS teams.
I know. I laugh because you're like,
crazy.
Unless you're Kansas, because it's true.
I love being able to say it.
So just find a garbage team from a garbage top conference, and it's okay to play them rather than playing.
Because you're still playing them at the same level. You're keeping it within the level.
Right. I still don't think that's because right, but the way the system is set up, and that's the way it should
also
be.
Here's the thing: scholarship numbers are vastly different between one and then one AA.
And not every time is the garbage team that the SEC teams are playing. They're good in their own division. They're just not good
Alabama never schedules those teams. They pick the
Alabama
last
does
place
not.
teams.
Yeah, they pick
Western Carolina won 3 games last year, and that's who they played last year.
Yeah.
They beat them like 78-0.
So
I'm just saying, I look into that stuff because I'm a nerd. I just like football. I don't know. So I'm just telling you,
but
man.
that's where I have the issue with it because you can still schedule those games. Make that your spring game.
They did schedule Georgia
Yeah, I'm
State a
with
couple
you.
years
Everybody
ago in
wins.
their first.
Everyone
year.
wins at that point because you still give them their payday,
Yeah.
and you still work against someone that's not, not in that really has no bearing on your season. You still have the same risk of injury that you would have if you are scrimmaging yourselves, and you have a spring game, and you still give them the payday. So
It's arguable that the spring game would be more valuable, a scrimmage against your own players, especially for a team like Alabama. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but but that's what I mean though. Like, if that's the case, why are you scheduling them in the regular season? But was there anything that happened during Big Ten Media Day that disappointed you, or that made you kind of outside of the playoff talk? Because for me, it was to a point, writers letting off Urban Meyer for what happened with his wide receivers coach, because it was proven that Urban Meyer had known this when they were both at Florida, the initial incident, and there was another incident in 2015.
What can you elaborate on what you're talking about?
So forget the guy's name. Wide receivers coach at Ohio State has been with Urban Meyer since Urban Meyer's been at Florida, and in 2009 there was a domestic violence dispute where I think at the time,
Smith.
Yeah, Zach Smith, that's what it was. That's his name. Got into an incident. It was reported, and same thing happened in 2015. Both times, he was never disciplined by Urban Meyer, and obviously, he got a job with Ohio State with this already on his record from the time being at Florida in 2009, and it just came out to light right before Media Day. And it should have been pressed harder than it was.
Yeah.
And it wasn't. And to me, that was the biggest takeaway from it, was you had a good opportunity to go after Urban Meyer, ask hard questions, and it didn't happen. And
Especially since it's so relevant in the overall scope of how college sports is affecting morality.
Well, right, and that's the thing. That to me, that was the biggest disappointment. From the whole event, because I'm someone that's a loser. I care about almost every Big Ten team except for Rutgers, because Rutgers just sucks.
I will root for Rutgers till the day I die.
I hope Rutgers becomes relevant.
If they were to become relevant, oh my god, it'd be so
if
cool.
they were how they were under Greg Schiano, where they were competitive, I would appreciate that.
That's what I mean.
That's why I kind of feel like the SEC schools probably look at the garbage game that they play versus
cool. Schedule Rutgers.
It's probably Rutgers.
Schedule
How's
Rutgers.
it any better?
Schedule Rutgers. If you really feel that way, schedule Rutgers. Yeah. If you honestly feel that way, schedule Rutgers. Schedule Indiana.
Bless you.
Schedule
Vanderbilt.
Well, they
Let
play
the devil
Vanderbilt.
about your soul.
But
Oh, you're talking about Alabama. Schedule Boston College. Boston College.
Schedule Boston College, Oregon State. Schedule those teams.
Oregon State's not a garbage squad, though.
Yeah, they are.
Oregon State's been relevant. They've been at least ranked
not.
every year for the past 4 or 5 years.
No,
At least,
Preseason, and then they drop out after week 2.
but they get there.
It's like
They
Michigan.
get-
It's like
they
Michigan
get there.
being ranked in the top 10 every year. I don't
Right.
know.
It means nothing. But that was my biggest takeaway from Big Ten Media Days. I know a lot of people with the BCS talk.
People talked a lot about Harbaugh, and just because he wasn't flat. Okay, now it's just common sense. Yes, I walked into a job. I said some flashy things. People were watching everything.
He
I'm
really
doing.
didn't, though.
He didn't. He didn't say anything, but people took certain things he did out of context.
Well,
You know what I mean?
everything with all this Harbaugh hype came from the media. Not
But
from
now
him.
he's a little bit quieter now. Of course, he knows that he hasn't won anything. So why keep talking trash if you haven't won anything? Because the moment I talk trash, you're like, "Hey, you haven't won anything."
Yep.
And it doesn't matter what I say. You haven't won anything. That could be my response to you every single
that's
time.
It's funny. It's funny you say that, because Brady Hoke in 2011 at Media Days, when they asked him about Michigan rebuilding, he goes, "We're Michigan. We don't rebuild." That was the headline, because it came off his, this is Michigan, for God's sakes. He had that fire, and Jim Harbaugh has never once said anything remotely close to that. When he first got hired, people tried to goad him into it. Like, can you guarantee wins against Ohio State?
Maybe.
No, they're very good programs. We're going to have to earn our way to beat them. Same thing with Michigan State. Anyone that was like, he's like, yeah, they've been kicking our butts. We need to change that. Same thing this year. What do you have to do? Well, we have to improve and get better, and we'll win games.
We have to score more than them.
But like,
he's never gonna guarantee a win again, though. He's not an idiot.
Right. But that's what I'm saying. Like, all this hype from Harbaugh and whatnot, and all this hot seat pressure.
But
yes, you need to win at Michigan, but it's all coming from the media. It's not coming from anywhere else.
And for a person who does play
I think
dynasty fantasy football, I am looking at
but here's the
mock drafts for next year. I've seen several mock drafts that say Shea Patterson is a top 10
that
quarterback.
doesn't mean anything.
But if you watch Shea Patterson play and just not look at his stat sheet, he's not anything
impressive.
special.
He's not.
Like, he has
Hey, he's going to be super special this year. He's going to be super special. Super duper special.
You watched him in the SEC as much as I did. He was literally like...
I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like,
they brought in somebody that's better at Ole Miss.
But
hey, take the hat off.
Oh.
He's going to be...
No, but here's the thing.
duper.
Really quick, though. Like, yes, it's year 4 at Michigan. We have more time to get into this because college football.
Yeah, we'll have.
I mean, we have a whole month. But it just goes to show how bad Michigan was in shambles that Jim Harbaugh hasn't really gotten to where he's supposed to, that everyone says he's supposed to, and as quickly as he has.
And this is supposed to be the year, and it's going to be the hardest year.
Every year is supposed to be the year. I don't buy it.
But
every year.
But they say that. But going into year 4, this is the year.
It should have been, but he doesn't. He still hasn't recruited a quarterback. So
he has.
Technically, he has because he recruited Shea Patterson.
He's going to be
recruited Jake Brudog. I mean, to be fair, like
he hasn't developed a quarterback. Is the thing. That was supposed to be his whole thing.
Hey, you just wait. Just wait.
Well, apparently,
I hope I'm wrong.
I was going to say apparently Dylan McCaffrey and Joe Milton. But again, we need to see it till it happens. But thank you so much for spending part of your Saturday with us here on the SRD Roadshow. Don't have Mitten Sports Talk this week, but you can listen to all the great shows here at Sports Radio Detroit. Just go to sportsradiodetroit.com. If you want to follow us on social, just go to Facebook.
Leave us a comment, some feedback.
I was going to say, you can really on Facebook, search Sports Radio Detroit.
We are truly interactive.
Share it with your friends. And then on Twitter, it's Sports Radio @DET. A lot of great shows. Find us on iTunes, Spotify, Stitchler. Basically anywhere that has a podcast, you'll find Sports Radio Detroit. Leave a review, and we will talk to you next week. Have a good weekend. Have a good week. We'll see you in a week.
Peace.
This has been an SRD production.